everybody. Welcome to this issue of Staffing Monthly, and I am incredibly excited to have this gentleman with me today. He is somebody that was a pioneer in the recruitment automation, recruitment marketing stuff that you've heard me talk about for several months in a row at this point, where a way to better distribute and get your jobs out to the marketplace and I guess get better results while spending the same or less money. This gentleman was originally the founder of PandoLogic, and he's actually working on a really amazing new project called Talenya now. So here with me today, I actually have Almog of Talenya, and he's going to talk about something that's really important to us right now that, depending on which side of the aisle you're on, but it's AI in recruitment. Some people think that it's hocus pocus. Some people think it's an existential threat to the industry, and we're here today to actually set the record straight. So I'm glad to have you here with us today. Thank you for being part of Staffing Monthly.
Thank you, Dan. I apologize for my voice. I'm just getting out of a little illness, so I'll do my best.
No worries. We'll keep it short and sweet. So that's the big thing. So you were a pioneer. I looked at your backstory, and you've been doing kind of recruitment automation. It's sad to say, but maybe even longer than I've been in the industry, which is amazing to me. So talk to me a little bit about what got you on that vein. Why did you start pursuing kind of recruitment automation and some of the automation tools that you've developed over the years?
Okay, so I think that recruitment is one of the most antiquated industry in existence. It's the only industry where people sit by computers, enter keywords, sift through listings, and then contact people one by one. I wanted to change that, just like I did recruitment advertising at PandoLogic, where people used to go to individual job sites and post their jobs one by one, as opposed to post it on a platform that would programmatically distribute and campaign their jobs to the best results. At PandoLogic, we wanted to disrupt the passive job seeker market, where people don't go to a job site, but need to be reached out, via LinkedIn and things like that. And that had little or no automation. That was our vision and journey.
That's true. And I appreciate that. And I know that for the last couple of months, we've been talking about the pillars of recruitment marketing and how programmatic is such a big part of that. And, there's been a number of references to PandoLogic as being one of the original pioneers and some of the other players in the space. But you moved on from that, and then now you're pioneering the new frontier with Talenya. So tell me, what are you doing with Talenya, and how is it a recruiting tool for the staffing industry?
Okay, the first note I would make is it's not a tool. And I'm told by many users that they don't need another tool. They need more interviews. And
Yeah.
our challenge was not to develop another tool, but to develop an automated way to double or triple the number of interviews a company can get, and do it within hours or days, not weeks or months. That is the mission of Talenya. And that was a very, very big challenge to use AI to think and act similarly to a recruiter, so we can take the heavy lifting off their shoulders and get them to speak with candidates, qualify them, and get them in front of hiring managers, whether it's a company internal recruitment team or agencies.
Okay. So one thing you said earlier that is 100% true is that this industry as a whole, and I'm gonna grossly stereotype for a second, we're laggards. We're laggards when it comes to technology. We're laggards when it comes to change. So when you're talking about AI, which is a forefront buzzword of the tech industry, most people are a little bit overwhelmed. They don't really fully understand what that is. So talk to that person that might not understand what AI is and how they should be thinking about using it for improving recruiting.
Okay, so there are a couple of elements to our solution. First is the data that we tap into. LinkedIn is only one source, but we use multiple sources. If you're an engineer, you are more likely to be on GitHub or Stack Overflow than on LinkedIn. And even if you are on LinkedIn, you don't list all of your skills, you don't update them so frequently. And we know that for diverse talent, they tend to have 20 to 30% less skills on the public profile. So we have another challenge if you want to hire diversity. Then the whole process has to do with keyword search, Boolean strings, and things like that. Some recruiters are masters of Boolean search, but they are likely to miss a lot of people because they didn't put the right job title, the right skill permutation. Keywords don't provide a way to attribute importance or weight to a specific skill or job title. And lastly, you need a way to engage not with 20 or 30 people that you source individually, but with hundreds of people who are potentially qualified for the job, engage their interest. That's now done manually. We've automated it. So our solution is tapping into a 1.5 billion resume database that's updated in real time with every job that gets uploaded. We typically integrate with applicant tracking systems. So we fetch a job description, we read it, we understand it within context, we create a search, we look at people currently employed at that company to understand the type of personas that are likely to hire so we can look for lookalikes. Then we rank them and grade them and prioritize them based on their quality and based on their propensity to change jobs, which is another element that's missing now. By the time they say looking for a new job, it's probably too late. And we can gauge that propensity to change jobs months before they actually make the move. And then we reach out to them automatically via email, via LinkedIn. So it's like a virtual assistant working 24/7 for you, getting you interviews. If they say they're interested, we push them back into the ATS. So it's a fully automated process from a job description to an interview.
I'm speechless. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I and thinking about so many of the pieces that you wove together there with obviously Boolean keyword search, which our industry can get behind because there are a lot of masters of that in here, but taking that skill set and then applying some of the more forefront marketing skill sets with keyword search and distribution and basically, I'm guessing, measuring a level of market sentiment in a way to understand where people are and putting that in a lot of the different talent pools out there. And to hear that 1.5 billion with a B candidates, most of them being passive, I got to believe that number is staggering for every recruiter out there that's struggling to find talent. So is this talent pool primarily technical and professional? You think that's where it is, or is it really more widespread? Does it get into healthcare? Does it get into, light industrial, kind of entry to mid-level clerical? Like where does this tool, I know it's not a tool, but where does this automated workflow plug into most if you're
Sure. We can target anyone with a digital footprint. So if you're a nurse and you have a resume on Indeed, we can tap. If you were actually very good in healthcare and financials and manufacturing, one of our clients is Xerox, and they hire for both high end and low end. We will not do a good job for very low blue collar jobs where they don't really have much of a footprint on the internet. And we don't add much value for that. They'll need to go to my previous company and post a job ad.
So I'm not gonna lie, when you said that, when you're like, if anyone that has a digital footprint, we can find you, I almost felt like I'm outsourcing my recruitment to the CIA or something like that. That was like, that's next level. So, wow. So this is not a tool. I know it's hard to create software because the natural propensity is say, hey, we're going to build this new tool. And then all of the marketplaces out there are just cluttered with tools and softwares and marketplace partners and all these things that plug into the ATSs. So how are you not a tool? Like, just help me understand, like, give me a couple of the ATSs that you work with and how your process is initiated without the recruiter having to do anything with it as a separate tool.
or I think then the best example is to tell you how we sell the software. So if you're a tool, we'll give you, 2 weeks of a free trial, but then you'll need to be trained. You don't have time. You're vested in LinkedIn, so you would use it only when LinkedIn fails on you. That's not a good position to be in.
No.
Uh, and what we say, give us a job, we'll process it through our system in a couple of hours or a couple of days. You'll get a bunch of interested candidates wanting to interview with you. If we perform, you can extrapolate that to tens, hundreds, or thousands of jobs, all done automatically. So that's where the big difference lies. A tool requires you to work. The only thing we require a recruiter to do is give us feedback on 7 profiles that we bring up, and you say thumbs up, thumb down, so we can gauge the maybe 30% of the requirements that are not in the job description, which is primarily a marketing document. So other than that, within a couple of minutes, you have a search going on. We reach out to hundreds of candidates. So even if our response rate is not as high as if you were doing it yourself, the sheer volume of the candidate that we target is enough to generate a lot of interest and get you interviews very quickly.
That is, so that's pretty interesting. So obviously it makes sense that you had that calibration period with the thumbs up, thumbs down, because you got it. There is always a human element, little subjectivity that needs to be built into the process. But then from there, you're essentially using a bit of machine learning to refine the algorithm for your search, right? I get that right?
And we learn, and we next time, if you have the same job coming back, we already remember your selection from previous time. So over time, the algorithm becomes smarter and smarter. And I can tell you that, especially with staffing companies, we see pushback because they rely heavily on human labor in the process, which is important, but the sourcing can be automated for sure. Okay. And we're not going to replace recruiters. They're afraid that AI would replace recruiters. If they don't embrace it, they will be replaced. If they embrace it, it would empower them to do a much better job and make more money.
So I'm glad you covered that, because that was going to be one of my last questions to ask is, you know, is this the next thing of a long line of things that have been slated to replace the recruiter? You know, at one point there were job boards, and then there was LinkedIn, and then there's just one thing after another. And you covered it nicely. And I think, so to me, it sounds, and I don't want to put it in the box of being a tool, but to me, it sounds more like the fact that the hammer didn't replace the carpenter, it made the carpenter better, right?
Exactly. And I think that in a couple of years, uh, there will be very few companies who will not use AI to source. First of all, we make that tool available to companies, so they may not need recruiters because we do the heavy lifting. But if the recruiter brings an additional expertise in the way they qualify, in the way they get reference for other potential candidates, in the speed of doing this, then I think recruitment and staffing has a very uh, big future for them. And you know, I went through an airport yesterday, and we used to stand for 20 minutes near, the counter just to get our tickets processed, right?
Yeah.
I went to a machine, and it took me, 1 minute. So did this replace, uh, airline personnel? No, they're short of personnel now to do all sorts of things, but not the stupid things of checking you in, through a keyboard.
Right. And so I see it the same exact way. I see it that there's a labor shortage and it has to get filled by somebody. And there are going to be some things that are automated, but there's going to be high skilled positions that there will still be some level of recruitment need to fill those positions. And that's where the recruiter can excel. And it's actually more lucrative for the industry. And to your point about AI being a value add is if companies don't adopt these new tools, because this industry is a bit of a laggard, the companies that we're trying to service, the IBMs, you know, the Lockheed Martins, the big enterprise companies out there, they're not going to want to work with a recruiting partner that's not using the latest and greatest tools and techniques. You know, if you can't say to them, oh, we're leveraging AI or, you know, machine learning tools or job distribution and all of that stuff, we're doing it the old way. We got a phone book and a landline phone and we use dial-up internet. No one's going to do business with you. You know, so I agree with you. You're going to have to learn these tools and master them. And the agencies that learn this faster and better and adopt it now will be on the forefront of that, I guess, the value partners of the staffing, you know, of the staffing industry.
Absolutely. And I will tell you more. Um, Recruitment is not core competence for companies. If you're in the medical field or you're in the manufacturing, it's difficult to build your own recruitment team and sourcing and onboarding and this and that. It's
Yeah.
not your core competence, okay? That can be outsourced to recruitment companies who do specialize in that kind of profession. But it can only be outsourced if the agency brings something more than just I'll do the same job as you do and charge you, tens of thousands of dollars. When companies fail hiring with their own resources and go to an agency, they feel like they failed. Okay, they could have hired the person and did not manage to hire a person. Then they went to an agency. The agency made them look like fools because they were able to hire, and then they charged them a lot of money for that. And HR department needs to defend that by saying, why haven't you been able to hire like the agency did? And this kind of tools allowed agency to go back maybe under a different model and say, outsource your recruitment to me. I'm a professional. Sometimes you need more recruiters, sometimes less. It's seasonal, depends on your business. I come with a set of tools that you will never be able to use yourself, and I'll bring you the value.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's a great tool for that. So I've got one more question around this product or service, and there's another kind of question slash invitation that I want to extend. So with your background being in, you know, programmatic, and not your full background, but the last company with PandoLogic, being in programmatic job advertisement and understanding how that pricing model works, have you adopted something similar to this? Is this really a performance-based pricing model with Talenya, or is it a subscription model, or how does that work?
It's strictly a performance-based model, but not on a per placement because we're not an agency. So you pay us per job. Every job that you want to source for, you pay a fee. We don't charge you a fee if we're unable to get you at least one interview. That's our commitment to value. But if you do use us, you end up paying $30, $40 per interview. And that's a very small investment to make to get, 5, 10 interviews and then, make a placement fee, whatever model you use. So it's a lot more economical than selling a seat that would be limited to specific people and so forth. We don't charge per seat. Anyone can use it. Any job they want to source using our platform, they can, and that's subject to a fee.
Love it. Love that. Last thing I want to share, or really more as an invitation, and I don't know how this would fit because it doesn't seem like a truly demonstratable resource, but one of the things we're going to be rolling out with Staffing Monthly is a resource spotlight where one of the slots each month is really me dedicated to walking through kind of a demo of the product or service. Is that something that would be a fit for Talenya? Is that like, do you have like a demonstratable thing? I know you mentioned, you said, give us a job and we'll do this, but is there like a demonstratable way to showcase how the service works?
We have like a 2-3 minute video that we can use.
Okay. I would like to showcase it. I'm actually genuinely interested in it myself to learn more about it because it's I love that you're pushing the industry forward, or maybe dragging the industry forward, and I like that you're on the front of it. But I'm grateful you were here today. Is there anything else you want to share? Is there anything else the audience should know? I want to preserve your voice the best that we can.
Appreciate it. Again, my message is sooner or later, you'll need to adopt AI. It's a lot of people use AI very loosely. You hear from, companies who sell tools and ask you to put keywords. We are AI, we are, and maybe they have some elements of AI, but true AI is a system that thinks and acts like a recruiter and learns over time and improves. And it's taken us 3.5 years and many millions to develop that kind of technology. And it's a leap over anything else that you've seen. So if you're interested in learning more about AI and recruitment and how your future is going to look like, you need to talk to us. We're happy to give you an opportunity to try it at no cost.
That is awesome. And what is the best way to reach out to you? They should reach out to you directly. Is there a different person at your company that they should talk to?
Yeah, the best way is to go to www.talenya, it's with a y.com, and just sign up for a demo, and we'll get back to you very quickly.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that all those links are right here on the page for people. And if you've got links to show like a 2 or 3 minute video that you want me to put on here as well, I can make that accessible. But Gul, I think this is really I think it's been eye-opening for me, and it's been great to get to know you a little bit better. I'm glad to have you in the network. And if there's any kind of later breaking news that you have as you start to develop more things and you want to, push it out through the Staffing Monthly channel, please let me know. I'd love to have you back on, and when that voice is a little bit stronger as well, and showcase this to the world, because this is the future.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity.